to another quite dramatic result last week in the Champions League. PSG beating Barcelona comprehensively 4-0 in Paris, John. It could have been 6.
Yeah.
I was shocked, even though I have seen signs of decline in Barcelona and in Lionel Messi. You saw the match. What did you make of it?
Well, it was a shambles for Barcelona's point of view. I mean, it was similar to Arsenal, really, in relation to the results and the way in which they played. Teams can get beaten, and you'd say, well,
they'd one shot on goal against PSG in 90 minutes.
Well, the reason that happens is because they're not chasing back, they're not getting tight in people, they weren't up for the game from the start of the game. And if you're not up for it, that's your starting point in any game. You've got to be up for the game, and that's what made them great when they were great, was the likes of Messi from the front and Suarez and Neymar working hard to do it and all over the pitch. That didn't happen last week. They were second to the ball. They allowed Paris Saint-Germain to play. As you said, they were lucky to get away with it. It was a team that you'd say they've given up.
Yeah.
They've given up on that. They're not up for that game.
Yeah.
And if you're not up for the game, it doesn't matter whether it's Messi or even Messi. Messi's the best player I've seen, for one of the best ever. There's no doubt about that. But last week he was a shadow of his former self, and there's no doubt he wasn't chasing back. He was losing the ball, and that happens, as we know, as me myself, ex-professional footballers, that if you're not up for it when you don't have the ball, when you do get it, you're not going to be up for it and give away. And Messi was like that. He was like an ordinary player having a bad day, and that was right through the team. And I think they're in big trouble, and I think it started last year as well, Eamon. I think it's just got worse now.
Yeah, Liam, this is dramatic because they were so great. And we loved them so much for, almost 10 years.
Well, in most sports, people getting on in years are not going to perform like they once have done. And, Messi's not the only one in that team that maybe is slowing down a bit.
No, Iniesta too.
Busquets is,
yeah.
I'm just about to mention the midfield name, and Iniesta, Busquets, they look, as if they're coming to the end as well. So I think John is right. I think there's a kind of a realization in the team that the things are not happening anymore, and they're not prepared to fight. I watched their match last night because I knew we were going to be talking about them today. Last night against Leganes, they struggled badly to win. They put in a few reserve players to cover for some of these players like Busquets and Piqué and Umtiti and Mathieu at the back. They look very, very ordinary players. So perhaps this cycle is coming to the end. But just, remember, Eamon, that they won the league last year, and they've won the Champions League twice in the last 3 years. And, I know it's a tough place for a manager anywhere, but Barcelona or Real Madrid are probably the toughest gigs in the world, and they're turning on the manager a bit, but only last year he won the title, so does he deserve a chance to change that team? I don't know whether he'll get a chance or not, but it looks like they're out of the Champions League, and probably with Real Madrid having 2 games in hand, they're going to struggle to win the league. But does that man deserve a chance? I would say he does.
Yeah, so would I. Just to make the point about last night, it was a controversial penalty, Liam, and Messi scored it very near the end.
It was a pen, Eamon. It was a pen. It was a pen.
But the team they're playing were fourth and bottom.
Yeah, they're struggling. As John said, there's not the same, attitude. There's not the same work ethic. And by the way, we'll go back to Arsenal a bit. They deserve a kick up the backside as well, the players. They're not putting on, 100% at the moment. And I hope Arsenal can sort that out between now and the end of the season, because, some of them are going through the motions. And Barcelona, it's like that as well. It's like there's a malaise affecting the team. Everybody's shrugging their shoulders. Suarez, Messi, Neymar, they're kind of saying, well, it's not our fault because we're not getting the service. The manager's got to get a grip of that situation, and Arsene Wenger's got to get a grip of the situation at Arsenal.
Yeah, John, just a point about Messi, John. He hasn't signed a new contract that's been on the table now for several months. He and his father have been involved in a tax investigation, which they've been found guilty of, and I think a massive fine, 10 million or something like that, has been extracted. There is a possibility that he might go to the Premier League at Manchester City with Pep. Would you like that?
Yeah, I think it'd be great, Eamon. You see, he's been at the club a long time, as we know, and I think players do get to a stage.
He's 29 now.
Yeah, when they need a new challenge, Eamon. The team is not going so well at the moment, but when you're at a club for a long time, like he has been, like since he was a kid, it's like Ibrahimovic going to Manchester United at a much older age. It's a new challenge again. There's a freshness about it, and he probably would need that at this. Another challenge, if he did go to Manchester City, for example, then it's a big move for him. He's got to prove himself again, and it gives him that bite and go to get going again. I think you've always known a lot of players, Eamon, who were at a club for a long time. Say, well, who was the great player, midfield lad for Italy? Lehman. Pirlo. Yeah. I mean, he moved from Juventus or AC Milan to Juventus, whatever way it went, and a new lease of life.
Yeah, AC Milan to Juventus, John.
Wasn't it?
AC Milan thought he was finished, and then he went on to win umpteen things with Juve.
Yeah, he probably needed that. I think players, if you get to a certain stage of the club after 10, 11 years, like Messi has, I mean, from the time he was a kid, got to go to a new place in a new country, new challenge.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be surprised if he did that.
Liam, would you like to see Messi in the Premier League with Pep?
Get him to Arsenal.
No, I wouldn't like to see him with Pep. I'd like to see him with Arsenal. He scored 2 goals again. He scored 2 goals again last night. You know what I mean? And he's having a poor time of it, but he's still a wonderful player. And I agree with John. He looks as if that maybe all his troubles and woes at Barcelona with the tax man and all this kind of thing hanging over his head is not doing him any good. And it would be great to see him in England, even though it'll be against one of Arsenal's biggest rivals.
Okay, thanks for joining us this morning, Liam and John. And on that sort of happy image of Lionel Messi talking out in the Premier League every week for somebody, we'll leave it, and we'll be back with you soon.